Welcome to the TALKESHI podcast. This is episode number 5, and this is our Pride special because we have a special guest today. Her name is LaUnicaDebi, also known as Debianne, or should it be Debianne, known as LaUnicaDebi?
Period, yes.
And we are going to talk about a lot of things. I think y'all should know that she is a very well-known TikToker. Because she has how many? 120. Yes, you do the dance. You do the dance. um
121.5 last time I checked, or something like that.
Holy shit. I don't think I've ever seen 120 of anything.
Same.
So wow. So Debbie Yang and I are going to talk about a few things. You know, this podcast is pretty much about talking about media and what's cringy and what's problematic. And do we ever talk about good things on on this podcast? I don't know, but we will today because we're gonna talk about Debianne's TikTok and also just talk shit about the media. But also, since today is our Pride special, we're going to just talk about LGBTQ plus issues, and given given our particular moment, we're just going to talk about social issues in general, which is great because not only Debbie does like really funny and niche random ass TikToks, but she also does talk about a lot of social issues, which I think makes her a perfect fit for a guest on this TikTok, I was going to say. On this very long TikTok. So Debbie, how would you describe your content on TikTok? Like, it's so funny and so weird, and yeah, we're gonna get into it, but how would you describe it?
The way I would describe it is sometimes it's educational, other times it's fun, other times it's like these huge ass productions that take me hours and hours and hours on end to film just one minute video. Um,
I definitely feel you.
it's just me having fun and listening to myself and knowing what I want to put out and not really listening to what everyone wants to see.
Yeah, like your message to the world, and like
Yeah.
I feel like your not well, can it be your niche? But like your content gives me the vibes of someone, like, to say it colloquially, de allá afuera. Like, it doesn't feel like something that's too presented to us. Like, I feel like we still, like, our most popular, skits or videos or whatever is still just like a dude in a towel rag and imitating a woman, and just pretty problematic, type of skits. So for your content to be out there and doing so well, to me is obviously a triumph. And I was literally thinking, like, why aren't there more people like Debbie? But then I was thinking more like, why don't people from here appreciate Debbie more? Because Debbie should definitely get the recognition she deserves for making this bomb ass content that makes us laugh and makes us think. So yeah, Debbie and I actually had a conversation the other day about just like content from here, the one that I criticize constantly on my channel. Uh, and we were just saying how, like, that is the type of content that gets, more likes or is more well known, to say it like that. And it really sucks. And Debbie talked about it on her 9-part series on her TikTok. And yeah, like, one of the messages that I got from it mostly was just like, we celebrate that kind of content, racist, misogynist, homophobic, transphobic content, just plain problematic content, instead of, just educational or just genuinely good critique to today's society type of content. So
Yeah. Um, I definitely agree. Like some of the videos that I put on that TikTok series, if you're watching this podcast or listening to this podcast, you can feel free to go to my TikTok. Part 7 isn't up anymore. I took it down because someone who was in the video actually ended up contacting me, and they were really nice about it, and we had actually a very nice conversation.
okay.
And they told me a lot of the things that they do on their platform to educate their audience. So I took the video down because I didn't want to disrespect them that way.
Yeah.
But in that video specifically, I was highlighting content that I deem problematic. Um, for example, there's this one video where this one kid, when Miss South Africa won Miss Universe, he went, "I'm going to Wakanda to kill this whore," and I was like, what? And that video got like 7,000 views. It was the first viral video of his on TikTok. And I was like,
Yeah.
not 7,000 views, 7,000 likes actually. And I was like, it's not that I'm hating for hate. It's not that I don't like this kid, because I had never seen him in my entire life.
Yeah.
But what was most frustrating to me was seeing people think and talk that way.
Yeah.
And then seeing 7,000 people who think that thinking like that is okay.
Exactly.
And so it's definitely hard to create content in Puerto Rico where I'm criticizing some people's behavior and ignorance, and have it get any form of traction when people who are making those videos get a lot more traction than I do.
Exactly.
Yeah, because a lot of my skits usually involve, we talked about this earlier, a lot of my skits involve some form of like critique. Um, and they're funny, yes, but I'm also talking about transphobia and how you are not being a good ally by doing XYZ thing that you think is good.
Yeah.
Or sometimes I go on rants on my TikTok and I'm like, you can't tell a minority that you're not a part of how you're being supportive to them.
Exactly.
Instead, do this and this and that. Like I did that for the Black Lives Matter movement when I literally saw locals, of course, doing blackface, and they were like, this is me showing my support for the Black community, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, how do you think blackface is like,
Helpful.
let's,
How do you think a makeup look is helpful, period? Like, it's not. You're genuinely profiting because you're getting likes off of it. And so I saw some people tagging brands, which is like, yeah, you want them to see this so they can add you to a certain. So you're the one profiting. No one else is like more aware of the situation because of you.
and like, let's assume that you don't know the history behind blackface. You're still having people telling you, hey,
This is
that thing you're
wrong.
doing, that's blackface,
Stop
that's
it.
wrong. Probably
Get
don't
some.
do that. And they get really defensive. They get really rude,
Yeah.
and they tell the Black people calling them out, hey, I'm actually helping you. If you knew where I'm coming from, or if you knew that my grandfather is half Black, if you're gonna talk like that, maybe you should educate yourself. The same thing happened with this one girl who she made a diss track, and she said something transphobic, like, acaso, like she went, acaso eres transexual, like
Uh-huh.
in the diss track, and it was very obviously like the context was very obviously like, hey, I'm asking you if you're transsexual as an insult.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, girly, probably don't say that because that's like transphobic. And she was like, no, it's not transphobic. And people were like, well, you're using that as an insult. And they were like, well, maybe if you knew where I was coming from. And I was like, girl, stop excusing it.
You're
Because like
not part of the community to like feel this way.
yeah,
Like,
and it's not, and it's a lot of people kept saying like, oh my God, you guys are so offended. And it's like,
you know
no,
what?
I'm
Yeah.
not. If people knew that whenever I call people out, it's not because I'm offended, or it's not because I'm offended on behalf of anyone. It's because I'm telling you that you look like an idiot.
Period. Like, honestly, to be honest, I would go on forever about this, and because I don't know if I've touched on it before, but specifically in our culture, there is that thing of like us calling something out and people telling us that we are sensitive or that we don't know something when we actually come from like a genuine place. Like, to be honest, what could have happened in that situation was, uh, oh, it's bad what I'm doing. Okay, then I'll take it down. Thank you for letting me know, because I shouldn't be like, I should take your feelings into place or whatever. But they instead get defensive,
Yeah,
and
and
that
that's when they start going wrong.
Yeah, and that is like it's just something one doesn't like, not one, but like it's just something people here, to be honest, don't know how to do. They don't know how to take criticism in that sense and be like, "Oh, like maybe I should listen to them." They instantly get offended themselves for something that they shouldn't even get offended by. They should, people at the top with a big platform. I'm talking about those kinds of people, but of course it applies to people like the one you just talked about, but they should definitely take into account what we're saying and what people from those communities are saying, because I hate especially when people like black people tell someone, hey, what you're doing is wrong, and they come at them like it's so funny actually, because these people are like, oh, I'm doing blackface to support the black community, and then you're like, hey, that's kind of wrong, you shouldn't do that.
Like you're
um
actually not helping us.
and then you're like, and then they get like offensive and they actually go like, well, you know what, and they start saying racist things, and like, okay, so you weren't really doing this to help anyone or the black community, you were just doing this for clout, bitch. Just admit that. Like, just admit that and have a sense of self-awareness at the very fucking least.
And learn.
Yeah, that's something we don't know how to do. Well, those kinds of people don't know how to do.
Yeah, like one time, I feel like that's what sets. I'm so different. I'm not like other girls. No, but I feel like that's what sometimes I like setting myself apart from those type of creators, because like
Yeah,
when I do
same.
something wrong and people call me out and they tell me, hey, this thing that you did, I don't like it, or hey, this thing that you did, um some people might be offended by it. I don't even question it. Like it's in my nature to hear people go, hey, this is offensive, and I'm like, oh God,
I'm so sorry. Yeah.
just because I might have offended one person that has done absolutely nothing wrong to anyone or to me specifically, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take it down. Like that happened to me. I'm gonna be a bit more specific, because people are gonna know
Yeah.
what I'm addressing if they know.
Yeah.
One time I made a joke about 9/11,
Oh, yeah. I
and
remember.
it was like a meme. It was in a meme format. It wasn't even necessarily like a joke
Mhm.
blatantly. I put my phone down. And about 20 minutes later, I open Twitter again, and I had one DM from a friend of mine and like 5 different replies from a couple of my mutuals. And they were going like, listen, this is wrong. Please take it down.
Yeah.
And I didn't even question it. It wasn't even the fact that it was
Yeah.
overwhelming, the amount of people that said that it was wrong. It was more so me thinking, this is offensive. Let me take it down because it's wrong. Like that's the only thing that I have to that's the only criteria I need to take something down and to apologize, because I took it down 20 minutes after I uploaded it. I immediately apologized. I made several posts about it, and I addressed every single person who called me out directly, um,
That's having
because it's
accountability.
responsible. Yeah, it's
That's
responsible.
having a sense of accountability where you recognize what your actions can do. And it's so annoying to see so many people here with big platforms not take accountability when they do something wrong. And it really is telling, like, oh, I have a ton of thoughts racing through my mind right now. But just, it's so weird and kind of icky to see people that don't have that sense of, like, I hurt someone,
Even
right?
even bigger creators,
Yeah.
like I'm gonna start naming names.
Fuck it.
Um, Um, Didi Romero, for example, I love Didi Romero and I support Didi Romero, and I have been listening to her mom on the radio for
Yeah.
literally my entire life because of my mom.
My mom
I
too.
mean, not have like it wasn't really voluntarily, but like she was the only one that I liked on Laekis. Um, and so I get a sense of nostalgia when I watch Didi Romero, and she's very talented, undeniably talented.
Can I make a pause for a second? I just wanted to bring up that I would love to one day make another video about uh how we can criticize media and still not enjoy it, but like still, like, we can recognize, hey, this joke that this show made was wrong, and then keep on watching it and not absolutely like canceling it or just whatever kind of thoughts. So yeah, you bringing that up and you actually liking her, like, you liking that doesn't take away that what she is about, what you're about to bring up that she did wrong, it doesn't cancel that. Like, it's just facts. So
It's just exactly like, to me, yes, it's made me evaluate the way that I look at her, of
mm-hmm.
course, but at the same time I still enjoy her content, and I'm
Yeah,
still expecting her to change the things that she's doing. For example, her
of course, holding her
character La
accountable.
Keva. Yeah, like La Keva, for example.
Mm-hmm.
It's a character based on a Bronx person, I
Yeah,
guess.
yeah.
And she is imitating her accent, her accessories, her um behavior,
Basically making fun of
hypersexualizing it.
like, yeah, making fun of like what we call a yal, which is basically like, so people in the United States understand, and I hate using this word, ratchet, or like
Yeah,
that kind of person. It's kind of like that kind of like, I was gonna bring up examples, but I can't
messy.
really remember. Yeah, kind of like that character that comes from like a poor background, like, which is what makes the character problematic, because it
Yeah,
is classist in its essence.
yeah, in its essence. Plus, she comes from a wealthy family.
Which makes it even worse, because,
Yeah,
like, I mean, one can understand, for example, a black man making fun of another black man for certain things or whatever, stereotypes, whatever. Just like here, we can, like, it's not the same with her because of what you say. Like, she is a wealthy young woman making fun of the stereotype of a poor young woman. So
yeah,
that's where the problem arises.
and I feel like she hasn't taken any accountability because, once again, going back to what we were talking about, it's what people want. It's what
Hmm.
people like seeing. It's
And
what people like
also,
consuming.
yeah, and also there is this hater thing, like thinking that they are all haters, or that your critics are haters. And of course, like, I think we've established pretty a lot on this channel, that, on this podcast, that uh critique isn't hate. It is simply seeing something from an objective point of view and being like, hey, this is wrong. Like, if you had a friend who was doing something wrong, they're still your friend. You're just telling them something, and you're telling them to change a behavior that they have. And depending on that, you will like you said, you're evaluating how you see them, how if you support them or not. It's like a whole thing when it comes to social media and cancellation and all that jazz. So of course, me and Debbie were talking about so many things concerning Puerto Rican media and how it affects all of us, because of course, like, we can you can say that something is bad. Like, I've always said, other than problematic, it's also just bad. But like, come on, it really is. It's like, it's just, we follow this. Even the cameras are the same. I'm pretty sure the cameras are like the same models from like years ago. Como expert here, comunicaciones, period. Um, no, but I'm pretty sure that it's just they keep on having the same formula, and it that fact alone really says a lot about how, we're progressing in a sense, like society is progressing in the sense of like including people in their civil rights and in their, like, just considering them more. Of course, like, it's considering minorities way more, um and in the form of a headline, but Puerto Rican comedy and entertainment isn't. So, of course, like, there are like, it's so prevalent. Like, now, things that you would probably be called out for in the United States, like a racist comment or a homophobic joke, you would not be called out for that here. Like, it is so ingrained and I wouldn't say internalized, but it is so embedded into like the scripts and into the heart of so much, not only entertainment on TV, like I have said on my channel, like on my video that I did about Puerto Rican entertainment, because I did one about TV and on social media in general, which is what we're going to talk about. But it's just, it's such a big part of it. Like, it's also clashing with people that are kind of more of an, I hate when people say open mind, but like, you know what I mean, like people that are thinking, maybe that's bad, like people that are more forward thinking and kind of just like more inclusive and more open to the idea of people having basic rights and not being disrespected. So radical. So yeah, of course, Debianne and I were talking about that, and I would love it as a part of, the Pride special, because I feel like people were like, ooh, the Pride special. And then we just talk shit about Puerto Rican entertainment for like 15 minutes. That is what this podcast is all about. But of course, this is the Pride special. So I would love if Debianne just kind of took the reins for a second and talked to us more about how these things have affected her as a transgender woman, or have affected kind of like her content, because of course she is very outspoken about transphobia in the media and just in general, of course. But I would love it if she talked about her experience more so.
I guess I'm taking it away now. Okay, so
Let's go.
basically the way it's affected me, it's we see transphobic content all the time, and homophobic content all the time, and it's normalized, and I've become very vocal about it on social media, and I've had a lot of people call me out and tell me that I'm too offended or too weak or too woke or too
That's not
whatever.
your livelihood. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
That's what I tell those people.
And that's what has made me want to appeal for a more American audience. Porque en verdad que it's annoying. It's annoying having to put out content and think that people aren't enjoying it because I have certain ideals, or because I'm representing myself as a minority, or because I'm an advocate for Black lives and queer lives and disabled lives and fat lives and everything under the sun.
So radical.
And yeah, it's too radical for some.
Stop it. Just stop it right there. No one deserves equal rights.
No, what is that? What's human rights? No, only white people deserve that. Straight and cis. But no, also men.
Oh, mainly men, bitch. Hello? Only them. Only
Yeah,
men
I feel
matter.
like, yeah, only men. Only men, white lives, cis, straight, able-bodied, skinny, lives matter.
I was just gonna say, like, just gonna open my OnlyMans, like an OnlyFans.
Watch people get offended by that and take that out of context. Debbie is racist and transphobic.
Oh my god. Stop. Just stop it right there.
Anyways, no, but like the way that I'm saying is, sometimes the fact that I have been pushed onto a Latinx audience by the TikTok algorithm, because in my 9-part TikTok series, I talk about how TikTok, despite the fact that I have my language set to English and whatnot, my content is still being recommended to Latinx people. And that happens because I have a Latinx or
Phone
Latinx
carrier.
phone carrier. Yeah, but that's a whole different conversation. But yeah, I have been pushed to a Latinx audience, and it's made people, how do I put this? It's sort of villainized me in a way, I think, sometimes. Wow, I'm such a victim. Oh my God. No, but like I feel like I sometimes have been villainized by local media and by local social media. Because I want to take everyone down and cancel everyone, and I don't care about anyone. And it's like, no, I don't. I just want people to be educated. But yeah, and sometimes it has affected my safety. Like I feel like it has. Some people have found my uh, Twitter account, and there's this whole cult thing on Twitter. Not cult, but like a huge
I
group
know
of
what you mean.
people. Anonymity is very dangerous because you don't know who these people behind these weird profile pictures are.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the time they will bully you, and they will make you fear for your life, because Puerto Rico is a very small island, and these people have seen my face, and I'm talking about like a group of like 10 people who have taken my content and made fun of me and ridiculized me, or ridiculed, however you say it. And if I go to the mall, the chances of them seeing me there are not that low, if you think about it. And what could they think of me then? What could they say to me? I'm very paranoid. I'm a very paranoid person overall. And just that,
It's understandable though. Yeah.
and just like adding that on top of it is
Yeah.
not really helpful. Um, but yeah, like anonymity has really affected me. And I feel like that's why I sometimes am very vocal about me not wanting to interact with locals. And yeah, I'm friendly with them. And I talk to them every once in a while, but I don't really consider myself a part of them, because a lot of people who follow these local figures are transphobic and are racist and are homophobic and are misogynist, and so many things that go against what I advocate for. And so that's why
It's our
I
culture.
sometimes, yeah, and that's why sometimes I'm very vocal about like wanting to open spaces for marginalized communities.
Because you've been there.
Yeah, because I've been there. And now that we're on the Pride Month, on the Pride Month. Now that we're on
On.
Pride Month, um, we like it's a conversation that we're having a lot more often. Um, oh, I'm sorry.
I heard that so clearly. Oh my gosh. Just
I had to do it.
perfect.
But yeah, I feel like we need these spaces for marginalized communities. We need to protect them, and we need to be protected. Um, and we need to figure out ways to abolish.
The police.
We need to find a way to abolish these people
Ideals.
or these ideals.
Cause even like I don't know what your take on this is, but I do think that like people can. I mean, that people that see for example, there's like a person that sees your content and I don't know, they're like, what? People deserving rights? Not on my watch. And maybe they're young and maybe whatever. And then maybe at some point they're like, oh, wait, like that person was actually right. And they change. Why did I bring this into the topic? Well, actually, now I remembered, because maybe your content actually could help them. So, like, that's why your content is actually important. It's so crazy how I just did a turnaround. I, like, suddenly lost my train of thought, didn't even know what I was saying, had an outer body experience, and now I'm back, and I was like, oh, you learned a lesson on that way. Uh, but yes, exactly. Like, that's why your content is actually so important. To me, it is, because there are people who whose minds you can actually change. I know that it's kind of hard, and in our society, people tend to think that things are black and white when you can't. There can actually be a change, and there can actually. I personally believe it. I don't know if I'm gullible to believe that, but I can think that someone with problematic thoughts or even tendencies can change if someone presents them enough with like.
Listen, so like this will surprise you, but like I was transphobic, and it wasn't until I learned what it was, and I learned that I was also part of it, on top of the fact that I learned what is and what isn't transphobic. I learned about it and I educated myself. And I was very ignorant, and that's what you have to do. You learn. That's the only way that you can explain it.
That's the best way too, to learn.
Learn, listen. When someone tells you, hey, this is wrong, don't just like defend it and be like, no, it's not wrong. Probably listen to them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, look for information and educate myself. Have conversations with these people. Like if you're talking with someone. I've had a bunch of people come up to me and be like, hey, I was talking with a friend of mine and I didn't know how to explain to them how this and this works, or how transition works, or how being gay works, or what's your opinion on this? And I talk to them, and I don't just like I'm not gonna bite.
No, yeah, like that you don't bite, and that also I was just gonna throw in that like people are always on the offense, and people might think that you might get on the offense too, and you're not. You personally are probably not gonna like. I don't know. I don't even know what people expect, because sometimes
Yeah, a lot of people argue that I get mean on social media,
you really
but
don't.
to be fair, I get mean when they're
The person just
mean to,
deserves it. To be honest.
if you're saying something transphobic and I tell you, hey, don't say that, and you tell me something that's mean,
Suck a
I'm gonna be
dick.
mean. But yeah, we have to have conversations. Like, we have to have conversations all the time in order to educate ourselves, and learn how we got here and our history.
And like something that's been being thrown around lately is the concept of being uncomfortable. Because of
Mm-hmm.
the whole BLM movement, like, of course, there are gonna be white people that are like, but this makes me uncomfortable. Which is like, yeah, yeah, be uncomfortable. Like, not to be like, they have been uncomfortable for, que say yo, but in general, to learn, you do have to be a bit uncomfortable, and you do have to have your knowledge a bit tested or like tried.
You have to dismantle so much of your ideology in order to learn something or unlearn something.
And that's fine. And don't
Um,
even take it personal either. I feel like people take it personally. Like, the first thing they probably say is, I'm not racist, but then again have a lot of racist tendencies or
yeah.
racist bias that like they do have to smash.
Mm-hmm.
Smash.
Period.
Yeah.
And I feel like, yeah, that's a conversation that we've been having. And also, I've been seeing a lot of people within, a lot of people think that just because you're um, a minority, you are inherently an ally to other minorities. And that is completely false.
I'm laughing because I think I saw a tweet once that said like, I can't be racist, I'm gay. And I was like, what? But it is actually that it like it might be humorous, but it actually does represent a mindset that a lot of people have.
Yeah, and a lot of people forget that, you know, a lot of queer people, racist queer people at that, forget that they have rights because of pride,
Mm-hmm.
and they have rights because of the LGBTQ community. They have rights because of trans people. They have rights because of trans people of color.
Mm-hmm.
And for then to completely discredit trans people, discredit people of color in the community,
Yeah.
and discredit the intersection of the two, trans people of color, um, is completely disrespectful of their own history. And they don't acknowledge that. And I feel like that's why we, once again, y que valga la redundancia, we have to educate ourselves. We have to listen. I've seen this thing on Twitter lately. It's been on my timeline for like 2 days now, and it's like gays, like white gays. This might sound offensive, but like I know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about. I don't care if no one understands. Um, there's this group of like gay people, more specifically gay men, who can be very misogynistic, who have completely changed the definition of pride and the purpose of pride. And I feel like sometimes it hurts to, my entire life, I always looked up to the pride, to the queer community and the LGBT community. And I always hoped for a space like that one. Bless you.
Thank you.
I always hoped that I would be a part of a space like that. And I went to my first Pride in 2019, last year, and I had the best time. But I'm seeing a lot on social media, um, that some people don't, a lot of people actually, don't know the history behind pride, and that it's not just putting on scantily clad clothes, which is in and of itself problematic. But it started as a civil rights movement.
It's not a fun place. Like,
No,
I
people
even
died.
I even want to say that, like, I did this makeup, and like I was thinking, because like, people are doing makeup that's kind of even though I do this every year. I've done a pride look for a couple of years already, but I'm really happy to say that this makeup look actually, like, this is by Melolops. I bought like the waterings. Yeah, and I mean, I already had some of the products, but I wanted to get all the waterings, and by purchasing these waterings, I used the code PRIDE for a 10% discount, and those words, what are they? The money, like that 10% discount,
Yeah, they match
goes,
it with donations.
yeah, to a community in Caguas, which is like, it deals with LGBTQ
Uy,
plus
Beapia.
youth. Yes, it
Yeah,
does. So it's not an ad or anything, and I do actually encourage y'all to go to the link and
me
buy
too.
some.
The Her makeup is amazing. They're really
Yes,
talented,
they really are.
and the three people managing the account. Okay, I'm gonna go off, and I'm gonna
Shout out to
because I
Taisasha, to Melos, to Jang.
period period. They're all so
Yes.
talented in their own way,
And so
and
kind. I remember, like, Menelops invited me to the launch party for these a year ago, and it was so nice to feel her support my content, and that's where I met Thaisasha, actually, like, at that party. So that was great. So Debbie and I just want to end this podcast saying that, yeah, just listen to all the voices that you can, especially during these times. Listen to LGBTQ plus voices, listen to Black voices, listen to marginalized communities. It's the most important thing, and like, you really can't just be defensive about, even if someone tells you like something unrelated and they tell you, this offended me, this hurt me. Listen to that person. Let's practice more empathy, and let's practice more listening to other people, and just in general being better. And Debbie, you got something else to say about this
yeah,
month?
I feel like that's very important. Listen to people's stories. When people hand you resources, make sure that you're using them, because they're giving it to you, or them to you, for a reason. They want you to learn, they want you to understand them, they want you to understand how to become a better person, and how to respect people better in society, in order for you to be better respected.
Yeah.
And it hurts no one to be respectful, and to understand. So yeah, like that's pretty much all I have to say. I'm always open to conversation. If anyone ever wants to talk to me about any of the things I've talked about today, feel free to do so.
TikTok and Twitter, link below.
TikTok, LaUnicaDebi, Twitter, LaUnicaDebi, Instagram, I barely use it, LaUnicaDebi. Um, I love having a universal
Same.
username. Same,
Same.
period. It's the best. But yeah, that's pretty
And
much it for me.
yes, thank you so much, Debbie, for being my first guest and saying yes to being here. And I just really appreciate it. And I love this. I love sharing with creators that I love. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. Well, see y'all next week. And I don't know what we'll talk about next week, because this was the Pride special, but I hope it's as special as today. Yes, we're reusing jokes from the beginning. All right. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.